the hell is an EO-most? Oh, wait, sorry, that's 10-most. Ah, that makes more sense. Ooh, and 10-most what? Delicious whiskies? Ways to explode a humans? Well, I'll be glad of anything as long as it's not 10 most stupidest proofs of X dumbass thing. Because that would be real. Exactly what it's going to be, isn't it? Damn it.
Welcome to our channel.
Wait a goddamn second. That's the fucking, what's his name, man, from the movie channel thing. Honest Trailers, yeah, that's it. What the hell is he doing here? Oh, right, of course, it's AI, isn't it? Well, shit, is this okay? Because there's one of two things going on here. Either someone has basically made a voice out of the extensive catalogue of content that he has worked on, which is like super messed up, or he/someone who has somehow got the rights to do so have allowed this to be made. And frankly, what a terrible idea. They can make you say any stupid shit, and you just know that they will. And, well, I've just thought of it. There is a third option. He did this on purpose and didn't have any problem with the bollocks we are about to hear. But frankly, that's just too depressing to even consider.
Today, we're diving into one of the most profound questions humanity has ever asked.
Is Sir Sick actually handsome, famous, and good at the sex? Well, of course, the first two are easy. The scholars already answered that with, well, look at him. But being good at the sex, that one is harder. Question to answer. I mean, what does it even mean to be good, or at, or or sex? Nobody knows, and they never will. Just like what the is.
Does God exist?
I don't know if does God exist is actually, profound. Like, it's not actually something that I think is really particularly mind-blowing or whatever. The answer may or may not be. Seems to me it's either a yes or a no, and that's about it. Now, the characteristics of any particular god could be more interesting, but even then, what I find profound is the real question. How do you know if you've run out of invisible ink? That shit keeps me up at night.
While beliefs vary widely, many argue that there are compelling reasons to believe in a higher power.
Yeah, but do you really want to listen to those guys? I hear those many people believe all sorts of stupid shit. Many people believe that Friday the 13th is a good movie franchise. Many people believe that breaking a mirror means you have to pay for that mirror. And of course, many people believe that if a black cat crosses your path, you shouldn't immediately eat that cat. Many people are fucking weird.
Here are the top 10 infallible proofs that God exists.
Alright, let's get into this. And here's hoping for movie guy's sake, these aren't actually extremely fallible and just embarrassingly stupid. And then he has to live with the shame as such a terrible piece of content existing for the rest of his life that he will definitely ever fucking hear about. I mean, hint, hint, make him hear about it, eh? Yeah.
At number 10, we have the fine-tuning of the universe.
Of course, the fine-tuning argument. An argument with so many holes in it, you could use it to strain pasta. And that's if they use, like, one of the quote-unquote good versions of the argument. Because there are plenty more just completely crap versions that aren't just flawed, but out and out ridiculous.
The precise constants and quantities in our cosmos, such as the gravitational constant and the speed of light, are so finely tuned that even a slight variation could make life impossible. This precision suggests the work of an intelligent designer.
Right, so yeah, it is one of the shittier ones, and there are just so many problems. I'm just gonna go with one of my favorite rebuttals, especially when it comes to an all-powerful design. Why? Why does it need to be fine-tuned at all? As a human, say they build a machine that balances on top of a point and they want it to remain there. Yeah, they're going to have to make sure that the thing is well designed enough that it isn't just going to fall down, because they need to sleep and do other things and frankly don't want to spend all day keeping an eye on this pointless contraption that what's it even for, really? But say they had the god powers, well then they don't have to do shit. They could just make that thing do the spin forever without even thinking about it. It doesn't have to make any sense. It doesn't have to make anything. It will just work because they want it to, even if they made it in the most terrible way that they possibly could. In this regard, even if you want to argue that fine-tuning proves a higher power, it could only go so far as one that can't keep control of it forever. Okay, probably not a god. And that's not even one of the better arguments against it, but there are just so many. Great start.
Coming in at number 9 is the complexity of life.
Damn it, from bad to worse. I'm almost impressed. The complexity of life is a major oof, especially when you are, again, more than likely claiming an all-power boy. The whole complexity of life thing does not prove, well, anything really. And we have an explanation for the complexity of life. It's called evolution, and explains rather nicely why critters are the ways that they are, including why things just happen to be complicated, no god required. But complexity or lack thereof, both of those could be answered with, because that's how God did it.
The intricate details of biological systems, from the DNA double helix to the functionality of cells, point towards intelligent design.
That is the other thing. Complexity is not the same thing as competent. You can design something outrageously complex, with little wheels and knobs and all sorts of spinning doodads. But if its job is to be the cork for a bottle of precious whiskey, all that extra crap isn't going to make it better at that job. It will simply make it unnecessarily complex at best, and outright detrimental to its functioning at most likely, no matter how fucking awesome it looks. Shit.
The idea that such complexity arose purely by chance is a significant leap.
But it didn't happen by chance in the scientific view. But you know what is a random chance thing happening for no reason? A god deciding to one day do an everything after an infinite amount of not doing that. That shit is quite the leap.
Number 8 is the moral argument.
Did you know that the moral argument is actually incredibly immoral? Yeah, you weren't expecting that, were you? Well, you see, the moral argument is immoral because it's so bad that it causes me physical pain every time it's brought up, as if it isn't a big pile of absolutely fucking nothing. And since the only true morality is anything that affects me because of how important I am, it is literally the most immoral thing that it could be.
The existence of objective moral values, such as the inherent wrongness of murder and the virtue of love, suggests a moral lawgiver.
The existence of objective moral values. Existence, Christ. This is worse than most. God damn. Although, I don't know why I am surprised. Right, you have to prove that, you know. And no, you can't just say, but the inherent wrongness of murder. First of all, generally speaking, murder is a legal term. It has a lot of potential specifics depending on whatever country's laws we are talking about. But as a rule, it tends to be unlawful killing. And frankly, there are a ton of possible things that could justify something that is still considered unlawful in terms of killing, in not only self-defense, but also various types of euthanasia. And the fact that I even have to bring any of it up kind of proves the point that it's not as black and white as you need it to be for this shit point. And the virtue of love, yeah, because there has never been a case where loving someone has led to poor outcomes. Literally not thousands of stories about that. No.
Without a higher power, these values would be subjective and relative.
Which they are. Haha, thank you for disproving God with your incredibly lazy and poorly thought out argumentation. Absolutely brilliant.
At number 7, we have the argument from consciousness.
Oh, I know this one. When I drink enough whiskey and lose consciousness, that proves that whiskey is an all-powerful being and therefore must be God. And I'm happy with that. I mean, really, is there anything it can't do? I am pretty sure I saw it change a car's tyre one time. Very impressive.
Human consciousness and self-awareness are profound mysteries.
Yes and no. I mean, we don't know every last bit of how they work, but to act as if we know nothing about them and that we aren't on our way to learning a hell of a lot more, if not everything about them, is just not true. And with the advancement in how certain computer programs work in ways that we cannot understand, to say that it requires a god to make something that is potentially impossible to figure out is just not true.
The ability to think, reason, and feel points towards a higher, conscious source.
No, it points towards that people can do that. That's about it. It doesn't really point towards anything. You are just presuming that it does because you want it to. But just because you want something to say, my thing am true, just doesn't make it so.
Number 6 is the historical evidence for Jesus Christ.
Okay, now you are going to have to be a little bit more specific because, well, do you mean some guy called Jesus or something pretty close to that existed in the way back when times? Or do you mean the biblical Jesus with all of his magic tricks and powers and all that shit? Because one of those I will accept that there's evidence for, and one of them is a load of bullshit from the Bible.
The life, death, and resurrection of Jesus are well-documented historical events.
Assuming that the guy in the books was a real person, well, you have to prove more than just a real person existed. Lots of people existed. But just because I wrote a book about Super Caesar, the Emperor of Rome with the ability to fly and fire knives out of his back, doesn't mean that the guy we have evidence for, who also had a very stabby back, had the attributes I have applied to him. So just because a book is based on someone doesn't mean the speeds and feat attributed to them are true. You have to prove them all on their own.
The impact of his life on the world and the transformation of his followers add weight to the claim of his divine nature.
Not really. They prove that a religion happened. And depending on what you mean by transformation and followers, well, again, that could just be shit that is made up. Or could mean, a religion happened. Because religions make people change their lives in all sorts of ways. I mean, are the ones that aren't yours also true? I would imagine you would say no, of course not. Same apples. Applies. There are no apples. No, go away, they're mine.
At number 5, fulfilled prophecies in religious texts offer compelling evidence.
No.
Many events foretold in these scriptures have come to pass, suggesting divine foreknowledge.
Right, there's 3 versions of that. They can be shit that was predicted in the book though, but also came quote unquote true in the book though. That doesn't count. And then there's the vaguest vagues of the vagaries that kind of sort of sound like things that have happened, maybe, but also sound like a million other possible events. And finally, predicting things that happen all the time, like saying, an empire will fall. Well, no shit. That's what they do. A bunch of them have risen and fallen before and since any such prediction was made. It's like predicting that I'm going to be an asshole and then saying that you're a wizard because you totally knew I was going to call you a fuckknuckle probably.
Number 4 is the argument from design.
Wait, is this just not going to be the fine-tuning argument and that complexity argument? Again, all rolled up into one. Served up on a bed of stupid. Taking all bets, I guess.
The complexity and order of the universe, from the laws of physics to the beauty of nature.
No, yeah, it's literally the same fucking argument, except let's chuck in "it's pretty" on top. And no, same shit applies to this one exactly. The appearance of design is not the same thing as design, as has been shown to be the case and can be demonstrated in other ways. My personal example is pouring sand to form a hill. Well, that is about as designed as anything else in nature. That is to say, it isn't. It forms.
Point towards an intelligent designer.
Okay, I will. There's one right now. Everyone, go get him and make him explain why he created humans to be so shit. Also, beat him up and then check his pockets for precious loot, or loots, or various other stringed instruments.
The intricate design in nature is often mirrored in human creations, which are products of intelligent minds.
For God's sake, come on. How is this not obvious? You know humans, right? Do you know one of the things they look at when they're trying to get ideas? Fucking nature. So yeah, they're mirrored because they are basically fucking copying the thing. That shit didn't happen by magic, for Christ's non-existent sake. And the amount of shit that we make that can do things way better than anything in nature. Weirdly enough, I can't remember ever seeing one of these wandering around the forest. Can you?
At number 3, personal experiences of the divine play a significant role.
Yep, they play a significant role in why I don't buy any of this shit. Because none of them can ever be proven to have actually happened beyond the insides of people's heads. Personal experience is about as unconvincing as you can get. Unless if I tell you God spoke to me and told me he isn't real. You don't believe in him anymore, right? But what about my personal experience?
Millions of people across cultures and history report encounters with a higher power, suggesting a universal truth.
Okay, that is fair. It does suggest a universal truth. Humans are so full of shit.
Number 2 is the cosmological argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe itself began to exist and thus must have a cause, which many argue is God.
Yep, and they do so with absolutely no evidence. In either that the universe has a beginning, we literally don't know, that's an assumption based on how things work inside the universe, and the God bit is just nothing. If there's a thing that creates universes, we have no idea what that is or why it does fucking anything. And to assume that your big book of bullshit is correct based on literally nothing, that is nonsense.
And finally, at number 1, we have the ontological argument.
And of course we're going out on a low note. Okay, go for it.
This philosophical reasoning states that if we can conceive of a greatest possible being, then it must exist in reality.
Yeah, it's such a shit argument that it's hard to know where to start. But basically, something that is the best thing could only be the best thing if it existed, so it must exist. To say that there's some flaws with that reasoning is like saying that my greenhouse has a lot of windows.
This argument, while complex, is a cornerstone of many theological discussions. These are just some of the many arguments and proofs that people present for the existence of God.
Oh, and he didn't even go into why. Well, if you aren't going to make a good point about it, neither am I. Bye!
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the